challenges the Liberal Party has, and one of the advantages the Conservative Party has, is if you have enough money, if you could spend an infinite amount of money on advertising, on bought media, on purchased media, then turning around a brand image is much easier. Liberal Party isn't in a position to buy millions of dollars of advertising right now. So I think what Mr. Ignatieff and the team are doing right now is the right thing, which is he has to get on the road, he has to get out of the Ottawa circle, and he has to meet with Canadians. When Canadians meet with him, when they see him face to face, they realize that the image that they've been fed by the Conservatives mostly, and I certainly don't blame the media for this, is untrue. And that's where most of the focus has been so far, is Mr. Ignatieff going to change his image? Is he going to turn around the polls in a day, a week? Some people have some slightly unrealistic expectations about what the impact of any summer tour is going to be. You can put Jesus Christ on tour for the summer. You're not going to move poll numbers for 15-20%. The big thing to me from a messaging perspective for Mr. Ignatieff is he's working harder than anybody else. He's working harder than the other guys. And if the negative messaging that's come forward, somewhat successfully by the opposition, has been, just visiting, in it for himself, a bit of a dilettante, all those kinds of messaging, there's complete incongruence between that message and a guy who's busting it for the entire summer, going to big towns, small towns, everywhere in between, and working all summer. Show that he's a good guy, and that he's a normal guy, and that he's a guy that likes having a beer at the end of a long day, that likes having a hamburger, that eats maybe too much fudge at the county fair. The flip side of it is you can't pretend that he's somebody who he's not. He is a smart guy. And the notion that in Canadian politics that somehow liability is something that, if true, would sadden me. So Canadians want somebody who they can trust, who they feel comfortable with, and all of those qualities. And it's his job, and it's the party's job to explain to Canadians and let Canadians feel that that's the case. But you can't pretend that he's not something that he's not. And if he does try to do that, it will fail miserably, as it does with any politician. Especially those who don't live in Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, those in smaller communities. Coming out, touching him, seeing him, feeling him, hearing him is important to have them motivated. That's what a lot of summer politics is. And by all accounts, for people who have actually been on the bus, as opposed to sitting in the cheap seats back in Ottawa writing about it, all accounts are he's getting better every single day that he's on the tour. And that's part of this preparedness that I talked about for the general election. Betting against an election when Stephen Harper's in charge is like betting on Mel Gibson's movie career future. It's not necessarily a smart bet at this point. It's very clear one of the objectives of this summer tour is getting Mr. Ignatieff ready for prime time for that first general election campaign. The pace of the schedule, where they're going, the stump speech nature of what he's talking about, feels and looks like an election campaign. For Mr. Ignatieff, getting that experience is huge for him. And based on the reviews of people who've been actually on the bus with him, he's doing very well and he's improving.